Hi, this is Mike, WB48UC, and it's about a quarter till midnight here in Central Texas, and I'm on 80 meters FT8, and I'm using my ZS6BKW antenna. If you're not familiar with it, it's a multi-band wire antenna built sort of like a doublet. It's the center insulator. There are two legs attached to the center insulator, 46 feet long, and then there's ladder line attached to go back to the radio, and that's about 40 feet long. And at the end of that ladder line is a connector that lets you transition over to 50 ohm coax, and then that goes back into the shack. And it's meant to work on 40, 20, 12, 17, and 10 meters without a tuner. But with a tuner, I've used it on 15 meters and 30 meters. And I've used it on 60 meters, although it's a bit short for that band. And I've used it on 80 meters, although it's really short for that band. So it isn't meant to work on 80 meters, but I do have a wide range antenna tuner that I use with it. So it keeps the radio happy. Now, how the thing actually radiates for those short elements, I really don't know, but I have made contacts. So I thought I would just see if I could make a few FT8 contacts here on 80 meters this evening. This won't be a very long video, but just to show that it can work, does work. But if you look, there's Canada, Switzerland, Italy, and the Canary Islands. So I'm hearing from overseas, from here in Central Texas. So it seems to be hearing pretty well, at least in those directions. I'm not going to try to make any contacts with those DX stations. I run about 50 watts on FT8. I don't have any, expectations that this antenna would radiate that far on this band at that power level. So we'll just play with it and see what we can see. There's Morocco. There's Canada. We will try Canada. So according to the watt meter, we're about 50 watts. So we may or may not get Canada, but let's see. So the software, of course, is WSJTX. Then the N4PY Pegasus Plus software is running the Omni 7. And then this is the control panel for the LP100A watt meter. This is the SP2 spectrum from SDR Uno, which is attached to my RSP1A, which generates the pan adapter. Only here we're more looking at the audio spectrum of the FT8 signals. Then this is my Logic logging software, version 10. So what is it actually? 10.0.7. And this is the computer program that I wrote to take contacts from the WSJTX log and put them into the logic log. And we finally got the guy. Not a bad signal either. So I'm going to go over here. You can't see it, but I'm going to go look up VE2LBI. And the distance shows 1,700 miles. Excuse me. So we've made that contact. So when I click OK, you'll see it show up here. Then you'll see it show up here. And there we go. So all I had to do was click OK on the logbook entry for WSJTX. I think got copied into my normal logging program. This window shows other QSOs, so if I'd had any other QSOs with him that are recorded in my logbook, they would show up here. They didn't. And if he was a member of any organization whose membership lists are in the software, that would show up here, and apparently he's not. So that's a contact with Canada. So let's try another one. We might actually try one of the overseas ones just to see what happens. But we'll pick one with a fairly strong signal. So we'll wait. How about that? So he called me. And I'm still about 50 watts. But what I am going to do is get on his audio frequency up here. So I don't want to be transmitting over the fellow that I had the contact with a minute ago. And just for this contact, let's run the power up a little bit. About 70 watts. There is a fan on the heatsink of the Omni 7 to help keep it cool. Okay, so he's called someone else now. So we'll see if he comes back to me at all. I'll give it a couple of more go-arounds. A couple of more cycles, I guess I should say. I'm surprised he heard me. KS4S, where is he? So you can't see it, but I've got my web browser open to qrz.com. He's in North Carolina. So he's a good 1,600 miles closer. So after this go around, I'll stop. So not a lot of signals this late in the evening here in the States. So we might have slim pickings here, but we've seen that the antenna will radiate, and I can get not super DX, but I can work stations far enough out to make it fun. So let's reset the power. So I'll find an empty spot, hit the tune button, and let's turn the power back down to about 50 watts. I probably am receiving better than I'm transmitting. So 50 watts off of this antenna is probably not as good as 50 watts off of a resonant antenna for 80 meters, like a dipole or an inverted V. And when I say dipole, I mean horizontal dipole. Well, I can't help it. I want to try that guy. Just want to see if there's any way I can cross the ocean running less than 100 watts on FT8 with this antenna. Well, look at that. He heard me. Weak. Weaker than I'm hearing him. So my signal report to him is going to be -7. His signal report to me is going to be -17. And I haven't read the WSJTX documentation enough to know how this is calculated or calibrated. What is it in reference to? Well, look at that. So we'll change and we'll say 70 watts. We go here, then we go here. Well, how about that? So even at 70 watts, I was much weaker than he was to me, which kind of shows, I think, that my antenna receives better than it transmits, whatever that means. So there you go. I want to keep this video short. It's gone on for 12 minutes already. But that's it. This is more of a experiment to see how well an antenna that isn't meant for 80 meters will work on 80 meters, and it seems to be doing okay. I would rather have a 80-meter half-wave dipole, horizontal dipole up in the air about 50 or 60 feet, but we take what we can get out here in Central Texas. Our trees aren't very tall, so we do what we can. Anyway, there you go. So nothing nothing really instructional in this video. It's just an experiment to see what we could do, and I thought I'd share it. So hopefully it was entertaining for you, and thank you for watching.